Now, breaking news from WRAL. Coverage you can count on.
Troubling trend. For the fifth time this year, a child has gotten a hold of an unsecured firearm and hurt themselves or someone else. We're live at the courthouse where the owner of the gun in this latest case just appeared in court.
And looking at Wilson, you can see the whirligig spinning a little bit. Now that the clouds are starting to move out, wind will be our biggest weather maker of the afternoon.
Persistent delays. The FAA says air travel will get worse before it gets better. How the government shutdown could affect holiday travel.
Breaking news. A man charged with permitting a child to use a firearm faced a judge today. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Renee Chu.
I'm Chris Levingood. Thank you so much for joining us. A 4-year-old boy accidentally shot and
This week, the U.S. Supreme Court will hear arguments in a landmark case. The question before the High Court: did President Trump exceed his authority to impose import taxes on goods from nearly every country in the world without approval from Congress? After the president enacted sweeping tariffs in April, small businesses hit with high import costs, along with 12 states sued. Lower courts sided with the businesses. If the High Court rules against the president, the administration might have to refund the bulk of the $165 billion in tariff revenues. The Justice Department says U.S. military strikes against suspected drug traffickers can continue without congressional approval. The news follows another strike on alleged vessels in international waters over the weekend. 3 people were killed. No U.S. forces were harmed. A senior Justice Department official told congressional lawmakers that the Trump administration is not bound by the War Powers Act. The Pentagon has carried out at least 15 strikes against alleged drug smuggling vessels since early September, killing 64 people.
2 girls are recovering from falling 20 feet off a Ferris wheel, and this happened this past weekend at a festival in Louisiana. NBC's Emily Aketa shares reaction from that scene.
Heart-stopping moments at a Louisiana Harvest Festival. 2 young girls ejected from a Ferris wheel, falling 15 to 20 feet to the ground, according to the sheriff. The terrifying incident happened Saturday outside of Baton Rouge.
The first responders on the scene said that the injuries was moderate to severe.
The sheriff telling NBC News it's unclear what caused the bucket the girls were sitting in to suddenly tip upside down. He says first responders were already at the fair and were able to help the girls within minutes.
Me and my daughter were in the line to buy tickets, and we heard screaming.
Hi. Eddie Jones says nothing seemed out of the ordinary with the ride until he noticed the bucket the girls were in appeared to be locked in place.
They are supposed to swivel, but this one did not swivel. It stayed stationary instead of swiveling, and when the Ferris wheel come around, it just dumped them out.
The girls were taken to the hospital, but the extent of their injuries is not clear. So far, local officials have not indicated who the owner of the ride is. The investigation now underway as 2 young girls recover from a traumatic event.
That was Emily Aketa reporting. State and federal agencies are investigating a crash involving a Union Pacific train and an 18-wheeler. I want to show you this video showing the moment of impact. The crash might look bad, but here's the deal. No one was injured. The 18-wheeler loaded with vehicles became stuck on train tracks near San Antonio yesterday morning. The driver of the hauler escaped, and the train did not derail. Wow.
Tip-off time is almost here. College basketball teams in the Triangle will be on the court tonight to get their season started. In a battle of Triangle teams, NC State will host North Carolina Central tonight. The Pack is led by new head coach Will Wade. They also have ACC preseason player of the year, Darian Williams. Tip-off tonight at Lenovo Center is at 7. Also, UNC tips off tonight against Central Arkansas. The Tar Heels are ranked 25 in the AP preseason poll. The game gets started at 7 p.m. at the Smith Center in Chapel Hill. Duke men's basketball kicks off their season tomorrow night. The Blue Devils are coming off 2 exhibition wins last week against UCF and Tennessee. They are set to take on Texas tomorrow at the Spectrum Center in Charlotte. Tip-off is at 8:45 p.m.
And Renee, on the women's side of the ACC, the action gets started today for UNC and Duke. The Tar Heels will host NC Central today at 11 a.m. And then the 7th-ranked Blue Devils will play the 16th-ranked Baylor Bears in Paris, France. That game already started about 15 minutes ago. And then tomorrow, 9th-ranked NC State will host 8th-ranked Tennessee. That game will be in the Greensboro Coliseum with tip-off at 4 p.m.
Nice to get that basketball action started. It is November, after all.
Yep. Should be a pretty good one for all the sports fans out there who are hyped about college basketball. And Elizabeth, today, I'm pretty hyped about this weather condition we've got going on.
Not bad at all. Of course, the low pressure system that was sitting off the coast over the last 12 hours or so continues to move away and take the rain with it. The rain is pretty much out of our viewing area. At this point, we'll take a closer look here at dual Doppler 5000 radar. And finally, just right, I guess we still have a little bit of light rain there in the eastern part of Edgecombe County, as well as the eastern part of Halifax and Northampton counties. But after that, it is gone. And we're starting to see some clearing, of course, in our western counties. Really, anybody central and western, even up here to the north, you can see the skies are clear. Now, you can see the little white dots there. Those are those big puffy cumulus clouds that we could see there in our cameras. We are looking at some slightly thicker clouds to the east of Raleigh, but those will continue to move off as the low pulls away. So seeing more sunshine now. You can see Futurecast continuing to show the clearing skies. We'll pause it there at 5 o'clock, and you can see the clouds are long gone at that point. What we'll see as we see the clouds moving out is the wind beginning to pick up a little bit. Interestingly enough, it really hasn't started to pick up too much here in Wilson, and we're not seeing it at the airport that's very strong and gusty either, but it's likely to pick up later in the afternoon. Again, this beautiful shot here, gorgeous blue skies, just a few of those puffy cumulus clouds hanging out. 61 is our temperature, and the winds are fairly light, variable around 5 miles per hour. A little stronger in Fayetteville at 11, 8 in Southern Pines and Rocky Mount, 9 in South Hill, but we're still not seeing any gusts. The gusts appear there in the white box on the right. It is likely to be gusty this afternoon with winds up to 25 miles per hour, and it stays fairly breezy through the week. Tuesday will be the weakest winds, just gusting to 15, but then a front comes through Wednesday. That's going to cause our winds to gust up to around 30 miles per hour, but that will be a dry front coming through, and then still breezy Thursday with some gusts up to 20 miles per hour. It's that time of year. We get into the fall, and it can be rather breezy. Mid-60s for highs this afternoon in Raleigh and Durham, and 69 in Fayetteville. It is likely to turn chilly tonight and tomorrow night too. 42 degrees first thing tomorrow morning as you're heading into work and school, and then 40 degrees on Wednesday. That means we'll have some patchy frost. We're not going to see freezing conditions in most of our cities, but in some rural or outlying areas or northern counties, we could see a little patchy frost. I'll definitely be grabbing the big puffy coat as I walk out the door tomorrow. And then tomorrow afternoon, feeling comfortable, bright skies, beautiful weather for voting. It's going to be chilly again on Wednesday morning at 40, but then 71 in the afternoon. And we take a look at the weekend, looking great. High temperatures will be in the 70s. Of course, we had a good soaking rain overnight last night. I'll show you how much we saw. And of course, that's going to lead us to a fairly dry week.
And back here in the WRAL Live Center, following some breaking news. This just in a couple of minutes ago, the Trump administration says that it will partially fund SNAP after a pair of judges' rulings required it to keep the food aid program running. Now, it's not clear how much beneficiaries will receive or how quickly they will see the value show up on the debit cards. The process of loading the cards can sometimes take up to 2 weeks. The average monthly benefit, usually about $190 per person. But the U.S. Department of Agriculture, which oversees the nation's largest food program, said last month that benefits for November would not be paid out due to the federal government shutdown. Most states have boosted aid to food banks. We've seen that here in our state. But again, this just in, the Trump administration says it will partially fund SNAP after a judge's ruling there.
And what will that mean for North Carolina? That's certainly something WRAL News will look into for our evening newscasts. More bucks for brews. The soaring price of hops and imported aluminum tariffs are sending prices higher on many beers. Today on WRAL News at 4, just how much some popular brands have gone up in price.
And dozens of crashes affected traffic and people's lives, which is why tonight at 6, WRAL investigates which Wake County roads have more crashes than any others and what the state's doing to fix them. Bundle with AI. how artificial intelligence is helping hotels enhance the guest experience.
And whatever happened to a penny saved is a penny earned? Why McDonald's will start rounding the price of orders to the nearest nickel.
Peak holiday hiring season is on its way, and scammers are taking advantage of that to scheme against job seekers. 5 on your side's Ashley Rowe shares 6 things you should look for.
This year alone, more than 300 people have reported text hiring scams, which is why the Better Business Bureau wants all job seekers to be aware as we enter the holiday hiring season. If you get a text with a tempting job offer, the BBB wants you to do these 6 things. Check the message for obvious red flags, typos, or grammatical errors. Watch out for easy hires, meaning if a company claims to have an offer without meeting you virtually or in person, it's probably a scam. Third, research the company. A simple Google search of the business and the word scam will give you a clearer picture of what you're dealing with. Avoid money transactions. If a company is trying to send you money before work is done or asking you to collect money from you, steer clear. This is a big one for people applying for several jobs. Make sure you even applied for the position. If you have applied, research the company's hiring practices. And this might seem obvious, but don't click any links or respond to a message. Engaging in conversation can easily cause problems. The bottom line, if it seems too good to be true, it probably is. Ashley Rowe, 5 on your side.
Next time you book a hotel online, you might notice something extra. More hotels are using artificial intelligence to sell more than just rooms. Now, if you add certain amenities while booking, the cost will be added to your basic room rate. Those could be things like early check-in, a higher floor, or a hydration station, also known as the bottled water they place in your room. The FCC is making it easier for internet service providers to charge hidden fees. The agency voted on a proposal last week to make it harder for consumers to get itemized bills with accurate information. The proposal rolls back requirements for companies to be transparent. The measure is expected to pass.
A trip to McDonald's could cost you just a little bit more. That's because some locations are rounding cash purchases up to the nearest 5 cents. The U.S. Mint stopped making pennies 2 months ago, and, well, that's led to a shortage. McDonald's says some customers who would pay with cash could be asked to use a cashless option to avoid rounding. The company also says customers paying with a credit card, debit card, or the app won't be affected.
The clash over cash. It's a record no one wants credit for reaching. The government shutdown is now in its 34th day. What a new poll reveals about who Americans feel is at fault.
And diabetes awareness, the lifestyle changes patients face when diagnosed with type 1 and type 2. And here are your winning NC Education lottery numbers.
Shot in 4K ultra high definition. Your #1 source for local news. WRAL News. Coverage you can count on.
The government shutdown has now entered its 2nd month, and it's affecting everything from food programs to air travel. NBC's Ryan Nobles is in Washington with the results of a new NBC News poll that highlights this situation.
As the government shutdown inches closer to becoming the longest in U.S. history, in a 60 Minutes interview airing last night, President Trump again threatening to use the so-called nuclear option, which would allow Republicans to pass bills with a simple majority and without Democrats' help. So far, Republican leaders have opposed it.
The Republicans have to get tougher. If we end the filibuster, we can do exactly what we want.
While both parties battle, food assistance recipients left in limbo. The Trump administration now facing a noon deadline today to comply with a federal judge's order to fund SNAP benefits to more than 40 million Americans who rely on them. The president on Sunday remaining non-committal about the order while trying to blame Democrats.
If they vote to open the country, it's open up immediately. We don't even have to think about that.
It's really disturbing to see that some of our most vulnerable people are at risk.
Forcing communities to bridge the gap.
We had 803 families all alone last week, and we're going to pass it.
New York's Governor Kathy Hochul declaring a state of emergency, issuing $65 million to food banks. It's a move several states are also taking, along with soliciting private donations. Meanwhile, a new NBC News poll shedding light on who Americans are blaming for the shutdown. 52% say it's President Trump and Republicans in Congress, while 42% of Americans say it's the Democrats' fault. Democrats continuing to say that Trump needs to get to the negotiating table. And now highlighting a Great Gatsby-themed party the president attended this weekend at his Mar-a-Lago club. California Governor Gavin Newsom writing, quote, "He does not give a damn about you." While on Capitol Hill, Republicans say the ball is in the Democrats' court.
Republicans have voted 14 times to open the government. Democrats have voted 14 times to close it. Who's playing games here?
That was Ryan Nobles reporting. Wake County leaders will get an update today on how the federal government shutdown is affecting local services. The county manager will brief commissioners on which programs are most affected. They're set to discuss how long local resources can fill the gap if the shutdown continues. Their meeting is at 5 p.m. today.
Speaker Emerita Nancy Pelosi says she will decide whether to run for the House after tomorrow's election. The 85-year-old Democrat says right now Proposition 50 is her main priority. The measure would redraw congressional lines in California as her party hopes to net several seats in the midterms. Governor Gavin Newsom says it's a direct response to Republican mid-decade redistricting efforts in Texas and other states like North Carolina.
Donald Trump is an historic president, historically unpopular. He's been very open and honest, including right outside the White House just last week, saying incumbents are likely to lose the midterms. He's changing the rules. He's rigging the game because he knows he'll lose if all things are equal. He did not expect California to fight fire with fire.
Moderator of NBC's Meet the Press, Kristen Welker, asked Gavin Newsom about his own political future. His response, right now he's focused on Prop 50, but if the right moment presents itself, he'll see what happens.
Just a heads up, drivers, expect temporary closures this week as part of the Complete 540 project, specifically Rock Quarry Road between Auburn-Knightdale Road and Old Bauckham Road. The closure is in place between 10 p.m. and 6 a.m. every day this week. There will be detours posted, but if you can avoid the area, you're recommended to do so. The goal of the project, when it's all finished, is to extend the Triangle Expressway to complete the outer 540 loop. And today, you can help shape the future of transit in Wake County. The city of Raleigh will host its first open house on the Bus Rapid Transit Southern Corridor project. Now, this project is expected to provide quicker transportation between the city and Garner. The city will share an update on the bus station, pedestrian bridges, and possible schedules. Today's open house is from 5 to 7 p.m. That is happening at the City of Raleigh Museum. The next one will be November 17th at Peach Road Cultural Center.
November is National Diabetes Awareness Month. 1 in 10 people in the nation are living with diabetes. And while there are different types, most people living with diabetes have been diagnosed with type 2. As Ted Lindner reports, there is a higher risk for people with type 1 diabetes.
With November marking Diabetes Awareness Month, the latest data from the CDC reveals 38.4 million people in the U.S. have some form of the disease, primarily either type 1 or type 2. According to medical experts at the Cleveland Clinic, type 1 diabetes is an autoimmune disorder where the body either makes very little or no insulin, a hormone critical for regulating blood sugar levels. For people with type 2 diabetes, their bodies can usually make insulin but don't use it the right way. Over time, unregulated diabetes can cause heart disease, nerve damage, and other serious complications. While both type 1 and type 2 diabetes require people to make lifestyle changes, people with type 1 diabetes need to take insulin every day to survive, either through injections or pumps. Those insulin doses and when they're administered must also be balanced according to a person's diet, exercise, and stress levels.
Type 1 diabetes is a heavy diagnosis to get.
And psychologists say having to constantly manage type 1 diabetes can lead to burnout depression, and anxiety.
We found in that population the rate of mood symptoms is 2 to 3 times in a population without type 1 diabetes. They're making so many decisions per day, it gets exhausting.
Mental health experts say people struggling with these feelings should talk to their loved ones and psychology professionals. This as they issue helpful reminders for combating stressful moments.
Anxiety and depression are part of, are regulated by your nervous system, and breathing can help regulate that nervous system.
Here in Wake County, thousands gathered to help improve treatment and care for people living with type 1 diabetes. The Breakthrough T1D Walk took place yesterday at Coastal Credit Union Music Park at Walnut Creek. WRAL's Ken Smith emceed the event. It raised nearly $506,000.
In Wayne County, the school board will work on the district's cell phone policy today. Schools across North Carolina are looking to limit student cell phone use, and that's because of a new state law passed that requires all school districts have one. This afternoon's meeting starts at 3:30.
The Los Angeles Dodgers are World Series champions once again after beating the Toronto Blue Jays in Game 7 on Saturday. What a fantastic, thrilling game. And guess what? The Dodgers are celebrating today. This is a live look at preparations right now underway for the parade that is set to happen at 11 a.m. LA time. That's 2 p.m. our time. The Dodgers World Series parade will take place in downtown LA. The players are expected to travel along the route in double-decker buses. The parade itself will last about 45 minutes, followed by a special ticketed event at Dodger Stadium. That parade route about 2 miles long. The event is supposed to take roughly about 45 minutes, but so many excited Dodgers fans all over today.
Very much so, and they know the drill because they celebrated last year when they were World Series champs. Another in the win column, the game-winning kick that gave the Carolina Panthers win number 5 for the season.
And Parade Peak. A look at some of the big balloons that will be part of the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. Hey, just a reminder, you can watch WRAL News live anytime on WRAL.com or the WRAL app on your streaming device.
Look at this beautiful view. This is live at Carr Lake, and we're seeing some breaks in the clouds there and some sunshine. You're watching WRAL News, available on Spectrum and the WRAL app on your TV or streaming device. The Carolina Panthers and their fans are celebrating another win. Kicker Ryan Fitzgerald drilled a 49-yard game-winning field goal as time expired to give the Panthers a 16-13 win over Green Bay. Carolina is now 5-4 on the season. They return to Bank of America Stadium Sunday to take on the New Orleans Saints. Kickoff will be at 1 p.m.
And the Washington Commanders are dealing with more than just a loss on the scoreboard last night. Quarterback Jaden Daniels is expected to be out indefinitely. That's because he dislocated his elbow in the fourth quarter against the Seattle Seahawks. He left the game wearing a cast. It was a tough end to a tough night for the Commanders. Seattle beat them 38-14. Plus, you got week 9 of the NFL season wrapping up tonight with the Arizona Cardinals in Dallas. They're going to take on the Cowboys. Kickoff for that game is at 8:15 on ESPN.
We're getting a sneak peek at some of the new balloons that will be flying over the streets of Manhattan on Thanksgiving. Volunteer handlers did a test run over the weekend ahead of the 99th annual Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. Some of the balloons seen included Mario, Pac-Man, Buzz Lightyear, and Shrek. The balloons are as tall as 3- and 4-story buildings. You can see all the balloons during the parade starting at 8:30 a.m. Thanksgiving morning on WRAL. It'll be here in just a few weeks. Alarming trends in the tropics. Meteorologist Chris Michaels breaks down some of the findings in today's Ask the Meteorologist segment.
And clearer, drier weather returns to the area. Meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner returns with a look at the lunch hour forecast. Dozens of crashes affecting traffic and people's lives. Tonight at 6, WRAL Investigates is sharing the intersection in Wake County with more crashes than anywhere else. Sarah Kruger shares what to expect in her report tonight.
Tonight, I'll share those 10 intersections with the most crashes. We're talking about all state-maintained roads here in Wake County. All of this is information I got through a public records request.
As the DOT, when you all track this data,
what do you do with it once you see that?
And we're looking for patterns. So we see these crashes at these locations, and what we're looking for, is there a pattern? Are they mainly rear end crashes? Do we have any injuries with these crashes?
So beyond the locations, I am asking the State Department of Transportation what solutions are in the works. Tonight at 6, I'll explain why not all of these top 10 intersections are priority areas for the state, despite their high numbers. Sarah Kruger, WRAL News in Wake County.
Tornadoes during tropical storms. It's a topic meteorologist Chris Michaels will be talking about at this year's Mid-Atlantic Severe Weather Conference. He talks about the key findings from 3 storms that have impacted our area recently.
So while I looked at 3 particular storms, the thing you should know is that tornadoes happen in 83% of landfalling tropical systems. This according to a latest study that was actually put out just last year. But the 3 storms we analyzed affected the Mid-Atlantic, including our area, one of which obviously Helene, and you see on the northeastern side of the track, that's where all the tornado surveys were done. Same thing can be pointed out with Hurricane Debbie, and once it was a tropical storm that moved through our area last year. And then another storm of recent memory was more so a big impact for eastern Virginia. It was the storm in 2020, Isaias, but same thing. Most, if not all, the tornadoes were on the eastern and northeastern side of the storm, which is common knowledge. But one of the things that really stuck out to me is that most of these tornadoes happened between sunset and sunrise, whereas only 30% happen at night in the state of North Carolina. So we've got a lot of takeaways from this and things that we hope will happen now that we have this knowledge. I'm breaking all that down right now on WRAL.com. Just search Ask the Meteorologist.
And remember, hurricane season runs through November 30th. But we do have coastal lows bringing us rain, Elizabeth, and we got a decent amount of rain overnight, and then it finally cleared out this morning, didn't it?
It did, yeah. So these are typically called nor'easters. We call them a coastal low or nor'easter. It's basically the same thing, similar to a tropical system, but they're just not structured the same way. They do the same sort of damage. We've had a number of these coastal lows have some major impacts on the Outer Banks, with houses falling in, erosion, overwash on Highway 12. We checked Highway 12 just a little bit ago, and it doesn't look like there's been any overwash with this one, and that's definitely good news. This one is continuing to move right on out of here, and it'll be breezy and cooler behind this system. You can see the rain. It's really pulled out of the viewing area at this point, just a teeny tiny bit there in Edgecombe County or parts of Halifax and Northampton County. But other than that, it is out of here. And we did have a good soaking rain overnight last night. We saw as little as around a half an inch in parts of Cumberland County to as much as an inch in Sanford, and definitely, a lot of areas seeing as much as 3/4 of an inch. So, averaging between half an inch and an inch of rain is what we saw, at least on our radar estimates. Of course, all that has moved on out, and we're going to continue to see skies clearing from west to east as we head through the afternoon. And even though we got that good soaking overnight last night, we still have a large rain deficit. Since September 1st, we're still behind by 1.27 inches. So we have moderate drought in the Triangle and the Sandhills, and severe drought east of I-95. All right, so you probably have heard of lake effect snow. What happens with lake effect snow is the Great Lakes are here, and this time of year they still have relatively warm water from all that summer sunshine. Cold Arctic air starts to drop in and move over them, and that interaction between that cold air and the warmer water creates a lot of heavy snow. Like we hear about that in Buffalo and in a lot of areas in New York. But it may be that it travels all the way down to the mountains of West Virginia and possibly even our mountains as we get into the weekend. So this weekend we're going to be watching for a few snow flurries in the mountains of North Carolina, some heavier snow there into West Virginia. And we may have our chance for some patchy frost. We still haven't seen any hard freezing temperatures in our viewing area yet. Fayetteville, Raleigh, Apex, Chapel Hill, all looking pretty right now. Lots of sunshine. The wind's starting to pick up as we head through the afternoon. And behind our low, you can see that low moving away from us. High pressure builds in, and around high pressure systems, we have winds that come out of the north. So our wind shifts to northwesterly, and that's going to bring us some of the cooler temperatures that we'll see for the next several days. So some breezy conditions for this afternoon and some frosty potential for Tuesday and Wednesday morning. This is a look at our potential for early tomorrow morning. 38 Roxborough, 40 in South Hill and Rocky Mount, 43 in Fayetteville. We've seen temperatures colder than this already. But again, with those sorts of temperatures, we could see some patchy frost, especially in our northern or outlying areas. So be on the lookout for that. Our next best chance of rain doesn't come until Sunday, but between now and then, we'll be tracking another front. So that one will bring us rain, but again, possibly a few snow flurries in our mountains.
Looks like a pretty calm rest of the week. All right, thanks, Elizabeth. Merging creativity and conservation. A look at a man-made reef created to bring fish to Miami Beach.
As we wrap things up, here's a look at a few of the headlines we're following today. The owner of the gun that a 4-year-old used in an accidental shooting appeared in court. 52-year-old Patrick Day bonded out of jail. He was assigned a court-appointed attorney, and he's charged with permitting a young child to use a dangerous firearm. The shooting happened yesterday morning just after 10:30. When police got there, they found the 4-year-old who had accidentally shot himself. He was taken to the hospital with life-threatening injuries.
Police are investigating after 2 teenagers were shot. This happened around 9:30 last night on the 600 block of Banner Elk Drive. When police arrived, that's where they found a 16-year-old who was shot in the chest. He was taken to the hospital in critical condition, and about a mile away, officers found another teenager who was shot at the cookout off Cliffdale Road.